The sun hung low over the village of Turharad, casting long, amber shadows across the wooden huts and half-finished fortifications. Arondir stood atop the eastern watchtower, his sharp elven eyes scanning the vast fields stretching to the tree line. For days, unsettling signs had appeared: trampled earth, scattered bones, and distant howls that carried a haunting echo. Something was moving in the wilds. Something hungry. Arondir tightened his grip on the bow slung across his shoulder. "They are closer than before," he murmured to himself. Too close. Below him, the villagers hurried, dragging logs, sharpening weapons, and piling stones into makeshift barriers. They were farmers, not warriors, but fear had a way of transforming ordinary people into defenders of their home. Just then, Bronwyn approached the base of the tower and called up to him. "Arondir, did you see anything new?" He leapt down gracefully, landing without a sound in front of her. Her face was tense but determined. "Tracks," he said. "Fresh ones. And deep. Whatever is coming, it is large." A cold breeze swept through the village, carrying with it a faint stench, rotting meat mixed with animal musk. Bronwyn's eyes widened. She had smelled it before. "A warg," she whispered. Arondir nodded grimly, and not alone this time. As night fell, the villagers gathered inside the central courtyard. Children clung to their mothers, elders whispered prayers, and men gripped their spears with trembling hands. Arondir moved among them, offering brief words of courage. Though fear clouded their faces, his calm presence lit a spark of hope. Suddenly, a distant howl pierced the silence, long, guttural, and full of malice. Then another, and another. The ground seemed to vibrate, as if something massive was charging toward the village. Arondir ran to the gate. Everyone into positions, archers ready. Bronwyn took her place beside him, gripping the sword he had given her earlier. She swallowed hard but nodded. "We stand together." The villagers braced themselves. The howls grew louder. Then the beasts emerged. From the tree line burst a pack of 3 monstrous wargs, huge, wolf-like creatures with coarse fur, jagged teeth, and glowing crimson eyes. The largest among them, a heavily scarred brute, led the charge, snarling as it thundered forward. "Loose!" Arondir shouted. Arrows flew, whistling through the air and striking the beasts. One hit the lead warg in the shoulder, another grazed its flank, but the creature only roared in fury and accelerated. The wooden gate shattered under its powerful leap. The villagers screamed as the wargs burst in, scattering defenders like leaves in a storm. Arondir dashed forward, drawing his blade with lightning speed. The lead warg lunged at him, its jaws snapping inches from his face. He rolled aside, slashed upward, and left a deep cut across its neck. But the creature didn't slow. It whipped around and knocked him off his feet with its massive paw. Bronwyn rushed to his side. "Arondir, I'm fine," he growled, pushing himself back up. "Stay behind me." The 2 smaller wargs tore into the barricades, sending wood flying. One charged a group of villagers, but an arrow from a rooftop archer pierced its eye, dropping it instantly. The other warg leapt onto a cart, using it as a springboard to launch itself at Bronwyn. Arondir reacted faster than thought. He shoved Bronwyn aside and met the warg midair, driving his blade through its throat. The beast collapsed with a thud. But the largest warg, the scarred alpha, was still alive and more enraged than ever. It barreled into Arondir, pinning him hard against the dirt. Its foul breath washed over his face as its jaws opened wide to tear him apart. Bronwyn screamed his name. Arondir strained, forcing his forearm between the beast's teeth. Pain shot through him as its fangs sank into his armor. He stabbed upward, but the warg jerked aside, dodging the blow and throwing him off like a rag doll. Dizzy and bruised, Arondir rolled to his knees. The warg circled him, growling, savoring the moment, the hunt, the kill, the fear. But Arondir was not beaten. He steadied his breathing, focused, waited. The monster lunged. In one swift motion, Arondir dodged, grabbed a broken spear from the ground, and thrust it deep into the warg's open mouth. The beast recoiled violently, thrashing in agony. Arondir seized the moment, leaping onto its back and plunging his blade into the base of its skull. The warg let out a final, deafening howl. Then it collapsed, lifeless. Silence followed. Slowly, the villagers emerged from hiding, trembling but alive. Bronwyn ran to Arondir, who was covered in dust and blood, some his, most not. You're hurt, she said breathlessly. I'll heal, he replied, though his voice wavered. He looked around at the broken gate, the scattered debris, the shaken people. The village had survived, but the cost was written in every terrified face. This was not random, Arondir said quietly. Something drove them here, something darker than hunger. Bronwyn shivered. Then what do we do? Arondir looked toward the forest where shadows swayed like living creatures. We prepare, he said. Because tonight was only the beginning. The villagers gathered around him, united by fear yet strengthened by what they had overcome. And Arondir, though weary, stood tall, ready for whatever darkness awaited them next.